Pick your class and
earn your battle points.
Because it's time for the Star Wars Battlefront podcast. Welcome to episode 197 of the Star Wars Battlefront podcast. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, joined by Bombastic and EckhartsLadder. Once again, we're continuing this episode, part 2. In this episode, we're going to be going over the likelihood of future updates, what we think of the look of the game, and much more. Let's get started. So, do you guys think that there's going to be more content going forward, or... Because they've said that they aren't going to... They have no plans to continue content. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's probably game developer way of saying that there's no plans.
Unless this sells a lot, we aren't going to make anything.
And I think Fallen Order kind of surprised them with how much it sold, so it's not outside the realm of possibility. I mean, if you look at the launch trailer for the game, it's got 6.5 million views. It's got like almost as much as Halo Infinite's launch trailer. Obviously it won't sell anywhere near what Halo Infinite will sell, but I mean, there's a lot of hype over the game and it's Star Wars. There's people who will buy it just because it's got Star Wars on it.
Definitely. And
I know, Andrew, you said you have a different experience, but my community has reacted far, far better to this than they did Fallen Order. Like this series right now is pretty much making my second channel. All the videos are doing really well. There's so much positivity. Yeah, so I mean, I've got a very niche that's friendly to this game, but
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Perhaps, like, I mean, you do adhere to this audience a lot. You talk about a lot of Star Wars battles, and kind of this is your game. This is the game that's made for your audience. That said, like, I'm sure so many people are still excited for it. There is a lot of hype around the game. The developers saying that at the moment there's not going to be any support. You're right. Potentially is the fact that there's no current plans. And, I've heard Ian Fraser talk about this being an old school game in that you pay $40 for the game, you buy the game, and you've got the full game. There's no updates, no content plan, no anything like that. It's just, this is the experience you're getting.
I mean, the old TIE Fighters X-Wing games got expansions. Sorry.
That's true. That's so true. But the thing is, like, I don't think Fallen Order... they're expecting to update that game either. So. Like the Combat Challenges mode that came earlier this year, the free DLC, that came out of nowhere and was actually a mode we got to play months and months earlier, just like as a tech demo, right? But that, that came out of nowhere because the game outsold their expectations. They expected it to sell 6 to 8 million copies in 3 months and it sold over 10. Like, that's ridiculous. They underestimated the amount that that people would love this game. So fingers crossed this can do something similar.
I think that's a good summary of EA's handling the Star Wars licenses. They under-expected everything.
Yeah. The only thing that's going against it, I say, is it's coming out at a kind of rough time. Like we've got that coming out, and then Cyberpunk, Halo Infinite. Like it's peak. The big release window for a lot of games, but it's Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable IPs around. So I'm gonna do what I can because I really enjoy the game. I almost wish I didn't enjoy it so much because it's gonna be a real disappointment if it doesn't do well. But
I think they've set it up really good for long term. Like the 5v5, I think that paired well with the crossplay will make it a lot easier to find game modes than say something like Battlefront.
Yes, definitely.
I also like that no matter what you're playing on, you're not going to have an advantage as well, because it's not like a first-person shooter where PC is going to favor console just because you have a mouse and keyboard, whereas this game, is tailored towards using a controller. Everyone's going to be at the same skill level. No one's going to have that additional advantage. I think that was the idea with doing crossplay as well. I know their other game, the other EA game that just released, Rocket Arena, it's called. That also has crossplay. That was their first crossplay game, and that's kind of like a 3v3, much smaller. It was a similar game, sold for around $40, I think, as well. There's less content in it. Obviously, it's not Star Wars, but perhaps this is something we'll see going forward as well. Them building more smaller games to get more of them out in the future, and just to have more tailored experiences, and crossplay is what's going to keep it alive.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Fingers crossed it performs well, because I'm sure we all want the B-Wing, don't we? And
yes, for sure.
Let's just get this to sell 10 million copies as well, and
yeah.
I think they're projecting like 3 to 4 million in the first 3 months.
I think it can do more than that.
A lot less than Fallen Order.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. If you enjoy the game, just be vocal about it, because EA does. I'm not saying to suck up to EA or anything, but like a lot of people are in this mindset of like, oh, it's an EA game, so it's going to be.
Are you telling me that Bombastic and EckhartsLadder are EA shills? What?
Yeah, I get my shill. I get 10 shill bucks every time I say EA positively. I wish someone would pay me to say nice things about Star Wars. Like that'd be the best job ever.
Be the easiest job in the world.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
If anyone wants to hook me up, like I'll do it for sure. I won't tell anybody. I'll do it.
Gotta get in with the right contact.
All of a sudden, his videos just became like super positive about everything Star Wars. It's so weird.
Everything I loved about The Last Jedi coloring book, part 10.
Oh, I want to see you make that. Can you just please make that? And, even as a parody video, I just love to see you talking about a Star Wars coloring book.
I've got like a bunch of Star Wars kids books.
Do it for Gus.
Maybe I will. I've got a bunch of Star Wars kids books. There's one where Mon Mothma is shacking up with I forget who it is. Maybe like Crix Maydeen or something, like one of the rebel generals. Because it's like a Halloween book, and they go to their house, and it's like both of them there. I'm like, what the hell is this canon?
That's crazy. Yeah. You'd have a lot of like parents in your audience, wouldn't you, Eck?
Yeah, maybe.
I'd love this kind of stuff.
Do it like a Patreon bonus too. Battlefront 2 Starfighter Assault versus Squadrons. We talked about it a little bit throughout the episode about the learning curve. What are your thoughts on the comparison between those two? Why should I buy Squadrons when I've got Battlefront 2 right now?
I mean, they're really not very similar. It's like comparing Mario 64 to, the original Donkey Kong and Mario game. Like, yeah, it's the same general idea, but one is a lot more sophisticated. They're both good games, but one is a lot more sophisticated, which some people want, some people don't. It's just like, a lot of people are kind of under the incorrect assumption that Star Wars Squadrons is just the Starfighter Assault game with some added, things. But in reality, the entire game system has been built from the ground up with almost nothing taken from Starfighter Assault. I think Ian said the only thing taken was some of how the AI worked on, the capital ships or something.
And the descriptions.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a much more complex game. The flying is different. Like, just a really good example. If you pull back on the throttle all the way in Squadrons, you just stop. In Starfighter Assault, you slow down. You can't, do these complex maneuvers. There's no shunting energy. There's no, there's not really ship customization the same way. The flying is not nearly as fun. And the forced first-person perspective, I used to like playing first-person in Starfighter Assault because the interiors of the cockpits are actually really well done. They're quite beautiful. But you're at such a competitive disadvantage. So the forced first-person, I think, is a really good move. So yeah, it's the same general idea, but it's not very similar in how it plays out.
Hey, Eck, I'm noticing you're drawing a lot of references to Mario Kart. Is this just like another opportunity for you to talk about your Mario Kart skills?
No, it's
Are you trying to flex
constantly berating us with Mario Kart references? Oh, Mario Kart, this Mario.
Listen, Andrew, if you were as good as I would you let anybody forget it?
Maybe if my ping wasn't 200, I would kick your ass. We'll have to have another one on my server.
We'll see.
Come play on an Australian server and we'll see that. Yeah.
I don't want to play upside down.
The drains spin the other way. Yeah, let's go. You're caught. You drive the other way. Battlefront 2 is a completely different experience to Squadrons. I think there's a few really key things. So it is kind of the control you have over your ship in terms of, the power, the shields, being able to change direction of shields, talk to your teammates, give orders and navigate the squadron battlefront, I guess you'd call it. The other thing is the way, like you were talking about limited view and how in Battlefront 2 you're at such a disadvantage if you're flying in a starfighter in first person, right? A few of my friends and I actually went back the past few weeks and played a few rounds in Starfighter Assault, and there are a few things. The collisions are terrible. You can't see. You have no peripherals, basically. So anytime you hit an asteroid or something, you immediately explode, right? Whereas in Squadrons, one of the best mechanics I love in this game is the fact you don't explode. There's no insta-death.
You bounce off. Yeah.
You bounce right off surfaces and everything else. And it's just like that being in a Starfighter game, I think, is such a game changer because it makes your ship feel real as well. It feels more like a car in a lot of ways, where it's just like you knock off things and, I did this test where I just like flew directly into, a ship or a capital ship, just like dead into it. And it's amazing just watching the TIE fighter kind of just like ricochet off and just like the windscreen cracks and you're just a little shunted, but you're still fine and you can still fly off and be fine. That's such a difference. So completely different experience altogether.
One of the big differences too I found is map design, because Battlefront, one of my main problems with Starfighter Assault and why I found it kind of frustrating, even though it was my favorite game mode, is there wasn't really intelligent map design. They'd put objectives in the middle of the map, but they wouldn't kind of have a flow of gameplay. So that led to a lot of like spawn killing, a lot of kind of flying around the battle to do nothing or to just get killed. Whereas in Squadrons, it's almost designed like an arena shooter in some ways. So like each team, at least in capital ship in fleet battles, sorry. So each team has a side. You've got protected spawns. The map is designed in such a way that there's lots of intricacies. You're not just flying through open space. There's tunnels you can fly through. And to me, that's the biggest change, just kind of how well the gameplay mechanics work, especially in fleet battles with that interesting sort of tug of war system.
I did not realize that fact about you not like insta-death. That was one of the most annoying things to me about the Starfighter Assault. And it's so good to see that it's taking much more of a realistic, and I'm using quotation marks here, realistic approach to that type of gameplay.
Yeah, so it's like sometimes you'll die. If you're low on health and you go straight in, you'll die. Or if I think if you're at enough speed, if you're like going full force with an A-wing and you hit something perpendicular, you'll probably die. But like, for one, the meshes or the hitboxes are much more accurate in this game. So like the first thing I try to do is, how the Star Destroyer has kind of like that brim around it, and then like it's got that trench on the side that you see like the Millennium Falcon fly through. You can actually fly through that in this game, whereas in Starfighter Assault, you would just hit like an invisible wall and you would be destroyed, which sucks. I yelled at my computer so many times. It's definitely some stream highlights of that.
Oh, yeah. Especially because in Battlefront 2, you build the battle points to unlock the Millennium Falcon finally, and then, you accidentally crash into a little piece of rock or whatever. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, that sucks.
I just wanted to ask you guys about the look of Squadrons. I've had a lot of people asking me and talking about how the game looks and just the color and how it's very vibrant and doesn't really look like other Star Wars games. I think a lot of people argue Battlefront 2's Starfighter Assault looks a bit grittier. Do you know what I mean? It looks more like, I don't know, the Star Wars we might know. Whereas this is kind of a lot more vibrant. There's a lot more color. All the maps are very kind of like have their own theme. Like there's kind of a green spacey one and a red spacey one.
Yeah.
They all look quite unique. But what's your guys' opinion on that? Do you think it looks too cartoony or too childish in a way?
I never got that feeling personally. I really like the look of the Yavin map. I think the look of the Nadiri map is just okay. It's not amazing, but I think like certain maps like the Yavin one, there's like one that's in like a nebula or something that we haven't really seen yet. It was kind of hidden in the first gameplay trailer. That one looks good. I haven't really had any problems, but yeah, I've seen that comment a few times too.
Yeah, I've seen the same type of comments as well. For me, there's one that they're still working on the game. So there are going to be visual changes as they get closer to launch.
Yeah.
One definitely big point is they're going for a more stylized game. Just in and of itself, it's going to be more stylistic than we're used to. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's going to be a good part of them making a name for themselves, because we get gritty shooter stuff all of the time. This, I think, will make it stand out more. I also love how they're actually embracing the colors. That's something that I'm really liking with this next-gen push. A lot of the games that we're seeing are more colorful because I think really the definition of the PS4, Xbox One generation was grit. And I think we're now getting to the point where, like, okay, we kind of got burnt out on that. And now we're able to maybe if this game came out maybe 3 to 4 years ago, it would be that gritty shooter. But now that we're in this phase that it can be more stylized. And I just love the color palette too.
Yeah, I mean, Battlefront 2 is a phenomenal looking game. I don't think Squadrons is ever going to look that good. It's not the same budget. So I think they probably lean a little more on art than pure fidelity. But like the cockpits, for example, are one area where I think the graphics of Squadrons surpass that of Battlefront 2.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic point to be made.
There was one other thing. I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think there's a chance this could also be released on the next gen into the future?
I was just thinking that. I hope so.
Ian has said that it will be released, but from my understanding, it's not going to be optimized. So it will get a release, but I think it'll be the same. It'll just essentially be backwards compatible. That's my understanding. Anyway.
Okay. I'm fine with that though. Like as long as it's there and it's crossplay and it has, the support of everything else. That's, the fact that it exists on the next consoles. That to me is just exciting. That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be 8K 30 frames per second or 4K 120 frames per second. Like I don't think it needs to be that. As long as it can be played, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can find the tweet now because he definitely tweeted it. PS5. I'm trying to find it on Twitter. Next gen. Yeah, he definitely said, I can't find the actual quote, but yeah, it should be at least backwards compatible.
I would assume so. Do you think if they sell a really good amount that they'll start optimizing it for next gen?
I mean, it's hard to say. I imagine that they could do some graphic. Like I know very little about game design, but maybe something like increased resolution, or considering it's being developed for PC, and that's going to look better.
True. It would more than likely have to already support 4K.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a lot of things too, is I noticed that people are kind of taking my stream quality, at least on my videos.
If you're judging anything on YouTube, like that is not a good way. Like even the most beautiful game, like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful game. You watch gameplay on that on YouTube and it like, oh, this looks like Fisher Price. Even though like that is not the actual reality.
Yeah, like if you want to look up, like I know Cinematic Captures, he has a much, much better quality. Like for example, Cinematic Captures, I asked if I could use his footage because we were sharing. And his file was 9 gigabytes long. And it was 10 minutes. Mine's like not nearly that long. Let's see.
I think he recorded in 4K, didn't he?
Yeah. Mine is 3 gigabytes.
You're also 4 gig. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 gigs. Yeah, 4.28. So yeah, the difference is like if you want to see something good, his video was also 3 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've noticed a couple times. Let's just say, for example, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox game reveal live streams, their whole events. Like, a lot of those games are not going to look like that. It was just the way that it was revealed that's going to put it in a specific light.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, if you watch the Star Wars Squadrons gameplay trailer, like that's real gameplay, so that's kind of the fidelity that you should expect if you've got a high-end PC or if you can run it at full settings. So that's a much better representation than our footage, which is quite grainy in my case.
One thing I will say that EA does not get enough applause for is the optimization. It has a great optimization for like you could play Battlefront on Potato and it would still play.
Yeah, that game ran really well on my computer. I could max that out even with my old graphics card and stream it. What about you, Andrew? How did you find that? Or did you played on PlayStation, didn't you, or Xbox?
Which game are we talking about here?
Battlefront 2.
I played on both PS4 and PC.
Okay.
I have some issues with my PC, so maxing it out, it kind of like crashes. I get the blue screen of death a lot, unfortunately, which I've been working on like over a year to fix, and I still can't figure it out. So yes, mainly I play on PS4. Yeah, graphically, it's an impressive looking game. I'm keen to see, like we said, how Squadrons kind of matches up against it. Like it has the very different art style, like we've talked about, and it is gonna, have that different feel and look to it. But yeah, I think 60 frames as well. One thing you said, the Squadrons trailer, the gameplay trailer, you said, Eck, that it looks as close to the actual game. I agree. That trailer's only in 30 frames, though, I'm pretty sure. So it doesn't run quite as smoothly as perhaps some of our footage would. So maybe if you combine our footage with that trailer, you combine the color from the color and the graphics from the trailer with the smoothness of our footage, then that's what the game looks like. If you're out for that real hardcore visual experience.
Yeah. If you're a real nerd.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that later.
Yeah. Just do a side-by-side comparison. X2 video for today. That's what's going to be.
I know one of my problems too is, because I'm new at video editing, I immediately after I cut my Squadrons footage down into 10 minutes and I rendered it, but I didn't render it at full quality. I rendered it at just a lower quality, so already it was low, and I kept that 10 minutes of footage, and then it went through another render cycle for each one of my videos, so it's just like a mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to this
stuff. So that's where you think some of the grain is coming from?
Yeah, because it's essentially been processed twice.
I don't think you're going to do too much more, though. Like, you're doing like H.264 compression, right?
I don't know. I'm a lawyer. I have no idea.
Okay. What do you edit in?
I edit in Premiere.
Yeah, that's probably H.264.
Yeah.
So one final thing before we end the episode. What are your thoughts? This is a two-parter. What are your thoughts on future Star Wars games, and what's your dream Star Wars game?
You go first, Andrew.
Tough. Go, Eck. No,
okay.
You go first. I can't. I gotta think.
So I play a lot of Empire at War, which is like kind of a big space strategy game. It came out in 2006, but it's been kept alive by modding. There are still mods that get hundreds of thousands of downloads on Steam when they release, and the game has a lot of active players. Like, it'll get days where I think it hits 10,000 on Steam. But I would just love a remaster or a sequel. That would probably be my dream game. Any sort of space strategy game where you can have capital ships fighting is really cool.
Okay, that sounds incredible. My one, I think, is a little more hectic than yours. Just like, it's kind of a bigger idea. I want a GTA-style open world combined with Knights of the Old Republic
that would also be
kind
awesome.
Of game where it's like it's. I think it's even too big an idea to conceptualize, but a game where you're able to choose whether it's almost like Star Wars Galaxies as well in a way. You're able to choose if you're a Jedi or a bounty hunter or a smuggler, or you can play in any faction of each Star Wars era, or perhaps it'd have to be set in one era, but it's basically just an open world. I don't understand how that would work with galactic travel, like whether it's like Fallen Order and the worlds are just smaller and you can travel between like maybe 5 to 10 worlds, or if it's just kind of like what 1313's original concept started as, being open world on Coruscant, GTA on
That'd
Coruscant.
Be great.
That kind of, that to me, and you could have the above ground and the below ground. Like, it's such a good idea, man. All right, let's not go into that. It's heartbreaking, but that kind of game I think would just be the all-encompassing, all-immersive Star Wars game. But then you've got to think about, like, is it going to have ship mechanics as well? You're going to be able to get different starfighters and speeders, and the Star Wars universe is so vast and diverse that it just becomes a ridiculous project. But can you imagine if Rockstar made a Star Wars game just giving them? Can you imagine what that would be?
Yeah.
Like, just here's like 10 years, Rockstar, like, just make a new game for us.
Here's 10 years and a blank check.
I'm sure they could afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the experience I want.
I'm holding out for a Rockstar pirate game.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
That would be very good. Something that I would love to see, obviously I would love to see a Coruscant open world game. Like 1313 would have been so cool.
Yeah.
Something I would love to see is open world. You're set in one city. You start off as like a kid in the slums, basically, and you have to work your way up to maybe you want to be a fighter pilot or something like that, and you have to work your way up through the story. And it's set in just one location. It's not like a world-breaking, I've got to save the universe, I have to do all of these things. I would love to see a smaller scale story based around someone who like has nothing to do with like the Skywalker saga.
That'd be awesome. Just like a game that happens to be in the Star Wars universe.
Exactly. And I think that would be super cool to see. And you could do a really good change. Basically, you could basically do something completely brand new in the Star Wars gaming space with that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, there's so much potential. Like, Star Wars is such a cool universe. And I do think there is a limit to how many Star Wars movies people will see, especially if they're sort of, about similar things. But for games where you can, like, there's so much you can do. Like Star Wars, it's like a sim game where I can like manage a Star Wars planet, or like a simulation, not Sims, although that would be fine too. Or like one where I can just manage a Star Wars freighter. Like that would be so awesome. Just get it done. Get it done.
What was that mobile game called? There was a mobile game, like you manage different levels of the Death Star.
Oh, Tiny Death Star.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that like a micromanagement style game when you managing?
Very simple, but yeah.
Sweet. Thank you guys so much for jumping on the podcast. This has been an absolute blast.
Thanks so much for having us, man. It was lovely to be here. Appreciate the invite, and great chatting.
Yeah, it's been super fun. I'm down whenever you need me. Just holler, send a smoke signal my way, and I'll catch it.
You can find links to both Justin and Andrew's channels in the description, and stay tuned on their channels for some awesome content as well. You can find us on Twitter at SWB Podcast, as well as on Instagram, where we keep you up to date on our weekly streams every Saturday on YouTube. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Battlefront Podcast, like friend of the podcast Daniel Schilling, patreon.com/Battlefront Podcast. You can also support us on PayPal, paypal.me/TieDyeSheep. TYEDYESHEEP. Also, we're soon to be rebranding the Patreon along with the podcast, so stay tuned for some awesome content on there. We want to get that back in full swing, so you have a lot of fun stuff there. A completely free way to support the show is through by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you find podcasts and can leave reviews. We would greatly appreciate it. You can contact us on Instagram, Twitter, comments on this episode, as well as through our email, battlefrontpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts and topic suggestions, what you thought about Squadrons, and much more. If you've got something on your mind that you'd like us to talk about, hit us up on any of the social medias and email. Like I said previously, we stream every Saturday on YouTube, youtube.com/the Star Wars Battlefront Podcast. We've also got some cool content lined up with collaborations with Wolf, as well as some other awesome YouTubers. So stay tuned for that. We've got a lot planned over there as well. You can listen to the show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Wherever you find podcasts, you can find this show. As always, thanks for listening, and may the Force be with you.